So we've always wanted to do a podcast and something like this. And for anyone who gives a shit, because we're just two dudes with a microphone and a camera set up.
Like every Tom, Dick and Harry online at the moment.
Yeah, like anyone else that can do this sort of thing. So why would you care to watch? Well, all right. So I think everyone thinks they've got a really unique journey, and I think we think the same. But I suppose as friends and as two people who have lived very different upbringings and things, I think the topic of discussion is going to be like men, masculinity, you know, the journey of a man who's got bigger aspirations, would you say?
Yeah.
Bigger aspirations. Because as men, I think we all go through our own challenges. We all go through our own versions of wanting to be the best version of ourselves. And there's, for everyone, for every man, while everyone's journeys are different, so many things overlap in terms of the things that they find to be, we come together and we unite with the same problems in a lot of ways. And I think that's what we want to speak about. So if you don't know who we are, we'll do a little brief introduction. None of this like wanky shit where it's just kind of like we're trying to beef ourselves up at all. It's where we've got a cigar. Like we've both just recently taken a liking to cigars.
Yeah.
We haven't smoked them much. We did a lot in Japan this year, and it's that's what the cigar's for. And this is, you tell the story of your beautiful home as well.
Yeah. So behind me, this place is the most iconic apartment building in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. And for months, I was journaling and manifesting this type of place, and it seemed out of reach. It seemed too surreal to be writing down a place that was literally, you could fish off this balcony, and the design of the place is just next level. And I remember I was talking to Ben and I said, I found this place, I found this apartment, and I didn't think you probably thought I was going to be able to accept
shit. Yeah.
to be accepted to have it. And I've always wanted to do something like this and live in a place as grand as what I believe at the level that I'm at, but also just for what my ideal lifestyle had looked like in my visions. And now I get a chance to live and experience it, and I get to do it with Ben and enjoy us really opening. It's like an opening ceremony.
Yeah, it's just for this place. It's just so we've always wanted to do this chat, and we thought, what better time than to do it now? Kurt got the house. I've come up to Sunshine Coast. I'm from Melbourne, so I've come up here to hang out with him, and it's like, cool, let's do this now because it's kind of fun. So short introductions to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'll go first. I don't even really know where to start, but I have my own challenges. I've always wanted to be a successful person. I've always wanted to make a lot of money. And through that whole journey, I suppose, I now own an online agency. I do about 50, 60K a month in my online agency, and I live a really great life where I can come and do these things with my best mate. And through the whole journey of everything, I've learnt a lot, obviously, about myself, but I've had battles with depression. I've had challenges with learning online business, having jobs and hating them, having friends and them not being the right people, letting me down the wrong paths. And it's kind of led me to the position here now where I get to now connect and know who my people are, such as Kurt, and we get to do this together. And we'll talk about kind of like, this is relevant purely because I guess if you were a young man or a man watching this now who's interested to hear what we have to say, then having a little bit of a backstory I think is relevant. So I don't really know what else to say. So it's kind of like, I think we just keep this part brief because it's like,
yeah,
no
totally.
one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck who we are.
No one even knows who we are.
Nah.
Yeah.
But if you do and you're watching this, and that's cool as well. But yeah, I think it's just keep it brief.
Yeah. I was a infantry officer in the Australian Army. I finished my return of obligation, my service time, and I was a second year captain. And I deployed to Iraq in 2016, came back, and then I transitioned out, became a life coach. Then I went into running a digital marketing agency, learning about automation. And now I run military style immersions to help men break down and rebuild into the 2.0 version themselves so they can ultimately become a better leader for their family unit to thrive and not just survive. So the topics tonight are hitting quite home, I believe, because dark times are here now for men, I believe. Big, massive downfall of depression, disconnection, masculine rage, suicide, I think is all on the rise. And I think it's especially hardest of all for men who've never had a true masculine role model with their childhood, but also because of what society's telling a lot of men and women about what it is to be a masculine man and to, I believe, what is a healthy family unit. And I think because we've had such a crossover of journeys that are so far completely different, that it's an interesting conversation to be having.
Yeah.
And it's a healthy conversation because we do have different views in some areas too.
So many different. Yeah, we have very different beliefs. We're very different people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're good friends, because we can understand out in each other.
Yeah.
And we can bring each other up, because for all my drawbacks and all my strengths, we both have we can help each other with those things as we move through, which I think is a massive missing part for a lot of men is community. But people who they feel like they can be safe in their mates' company. They feel like being safe in their mates' with people who they genuinely trust.
Yep.
I think that's a commodity now that's very difficult to have. So we met on a yacht, of all things. We did a mastermind with one of our great friends and also amazing mentors, Lewis Mocker.
Yeah.
And he hosted one of his first yacht experiences for just his students. We were a student of Lewis's. We didn't know each other at the time, so we went on this yacht for like, how many days was it?
It was, I think it was 3 days Hamilton Island on the Impulsive Super Yacht.
Impulsive Super Yacht for Sundays. And I went on my own. Kurt went with his then partner at the time. And we actually didn't really
connect.
No, we didn't really connect at the time, but it was after the fact that we did. But we had a great time.
Yeah.
But we connected after. And then Curtis's personality is so different to mine. He is like bull at a gate, like 100 mile an hour at everything, and I'm very reserved and sort of quieter.
Calculated.
Very calculated. Whereas bull in the china shop,
and get out of my way.
I'm the calculated one. So once we became mates, I had to learn his pace. And so the things we did this year were all because of you, really. Like, I did a lot of stuff because of you, because of meeting you.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of shit real quick. And that's why it's kind of led us to this point. So we've known each other for a year now, and it's like, done so much in that year. So we did a TV show together, a reality TV show. It's coming out soon. We can't say anything on this. We then went straight from that to Japan.
Yep.
For 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
For 3 weeks, Osaka and all the rest of it, and had a great time over there. And I flew business with you for the first time to Japan. That was sick. And what did we do after that? Then we had one of your... So, Curtis, tell us about your passages as well.
Yeah, so we run a 4-day military-style immersion. So men from all over the country will turn up, and it's a military-themed personal development course, and it's really challenging physically, mentally, emotionally. And ultimately, in the end, it's to help men really heal and uncover their internal roadblocks, their trauma, and fears, limiting beliefs, but put it in the context of something that's very masculine. And I believe the conversations and a lot of the questions from men and women that we're going to be talking about is how to understand what men actually need amongst other men, what's missing in society, how to hold space emotionally in relationships, or how men process feelings completely different. So there's going to be an array of probably rabbit holes, I think, that we're just going to go down.
Yeah.
But
so we did your passage.
We did that
5-day passage. I'd never. So I was a facilitator.
Yep.
So I had a mask on, and I mean, I'm not an army guy, right? So like being thrusted into that environment as someone who was facilitating these men who were there to participate.
Yeah.
Not participate. They're there to change their lives, right? And it was confronting for me. And like I've been in like football teams. I grew up playing AFL football all my life. So I've been to like year boot camps, that kind of thing, for that are hard things. But I've never seen. I believe you do God's work in a sense of what you do for men.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen an event like that before, especially being up close and personal with it. So I think it's a very different scenario to just like hearing about it. So you see the
content
page, you see the VSL, you see all the content, say this is the hardest thing you'll ever do and all that sort of stuff. But until you're actually there, it sells half of it at the most. And so I facilitated with Curtis, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I was only there for 2 days out of the.
Yeah, I know.
I've had to leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. It was great. So we did that, and then and we've done a bunch of stuff since. And so it's led us to the point where we've known each other for a whole year. We're very business minded.
Yeah.
We're very progression minded and development minded. We've learned a lot about ourselves through this process and knowing each other. And so it's a perfect opportunity to start doing this chat, so which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So I hope you're still with us. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So do you want to? So Curtis put up on his Instagram story some questions about what people wanted to know from what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So you want to just see what the question is, ask it, and then we can both have our own opinion.
So this is from Michelle. The first question that came through was, what do you each believe the top 3 standards every man should have in business and in life? Thanks, Michelle.
Will you go first? For 3 in business and life?
I think the top 3 standards every man should have in business and in life. So we could do 3 of each. There might be some crossover because I think how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I believe how you show up in business there'll be crossovers in life and relationships.
Okay.
The first one that I would probably say is it would have to be that a man follows through with what he says he's going to do. And that, if I was to put it down to a word, it would be self-trust. Trust in self would be one. Second one would be honor and integrity.
So explain honor and integrity.
So honor for me, as an officer in the army, you would take pride, or you'd feel honored to be wearing the uniform because you're representing country, Queen and country. A lot of men, I don't believe, are quite honourable in their approach on how they live their life. Standards of dress and bearing, how they take care of themselves with their hair, how they groom themselves, how they walk, how they present themselves. And if I was to think about the honour amongst men, there's a lot of men who backstab a lot one another. So it's very hard to find a brotherhood that you can actually trust your partner with without you being there, or to trust that whatever you say in the sanctity of the community is protected, and it's not to have loose lips sink ships. So I think having honour amongst men is really hard to find.
Yeah.
Especially transitioning out of the army, I think it was really difficult because your life depends on the man next to you, and that's why it's a family, it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
I don't think you can emulate that to the level outside of army or defence. Yeah. So honour would be a big one, and then integrity. You have to be willing to wear the consequences of your actions and to be honest and open when you're wrong and admit when you're wrong. And fucking admit your faults.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of guys do that.
Owning your shit.
They get fearful that if they were to own their shit, they would actually lose the thing, the person or the opportunity. But by actually not living in integrity, they actually lose it, because what they avoid will continue to expand until it's gone.
Right.
So I think that would be my top 3.
So what was your first one again?
It was trust, self-trust, honor, and integrity.
Yeah. And do you would they cross over with business and with?
I think they would from a personal standpoint, but then for business, I believe you have to be ruthless. You have to be ruthless. You have to be relentless, especially in the infancy stages of business. Like, you can't be slow, and you can't be mediocre. You have to have a vision. So I think being a visionary would be quite big. A lot of guys that I talk to that apply for the event, you ask them where can they see themselves 3 years from now if you could wave a magic wand and, remove all the limitations and make it happen. They're like, I don't know. And it's like, well, how do you know what you're shooting at if you don't even identify the target? So I think having a vision or goals would be really important in business. I think how would honor and integrity, I think, is do what you say you're going to do. That would be I think they overlap for sure.
Yep.
What are you?
I was going to say that's triggering me. Can you knock that one off? It's going to fall in your lap in a minute. I was thinking a little bit when you were talking, but I mean, all those things ring pretty true. I don't know that I have a top three. I think I've just got one, honestly.
What's that?
And it's loyalty.
Yep.
And it's not just loyalty to a person, but it's loyalty to your word of yourself.
This is a great point.
But it is loyalty to a person, because I think the loyalty aspect, I learned this off one of my mentors.
Yep.
And he's from Queensland, actually. And it's something I've always carried with me. Because I think it's very easy to sweep something under the rug, or not say something to someone you care about or love because you think it'll hurt them.
Yeah.
I think the loyalty aspect, it has so many facets to it.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, I'll give you a really good example.
Mm-hmm.
One of your clients you sent to me as a digital marketing client, and
yep.
I do work for him, and part of our deal together is I give you a share of that, because that's part of the thing, and it's every month.
Yep.
And I've never not sent you that share.
Mm.
You don't even pay any attention to it coming in.
No, I don't care.
Because it's not that you don't care, though. It's just that you trust me.
Yep.
And I could easily not pay you.
Yeah, easily.
It makes no difference to my life whether I do or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's X amount of dollars, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the loyalty piece, because if I just didn't pay you and I knew about it,
it'd eat you up.
I'd have to live with that.
Yeah.
Not you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about the money.
Mm.
It's about, I didn't say what I was going to do, that I said I was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's fleeting moments where you have choice that can make or break friendships, relationships, any type of relationship with a person. I think it just crosses over into business and all that sort of things. And you can say all the fluffy stuff, whether it's business or whether it's hard work and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's just a given.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you really if you hold on to something that is the North Star of what you believe, I think you'll do just fine. Because I think if you can have the integrity to stick to, okay, it's loyalty, that's my thing.
Yep.
And you can have that and you can stick to it, I think everything else kind of falls into place. Because if you have loyalty to someone,
where's the drawback, though, for being infatuated with the idea of being blindly loyal to someone or something?
It's not blind, though.
Okay, so when does then being loyal be a drawback, not a benefit?
I don't think it does. I don't think there is a drawback to it. I mean, I guess you could argue that there's drawbacks to everything, but but the drawback would be only like if you make bad deals. So you're loyal to something that it doesn't.
How do you know? How do you know it's a bad deal, though?
Well, if for example that monthly client that I send you, I say, here, you can have 50%, and I'm overworked, and I keep sending you the money, and I don't talk to you.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be loyalty, because it's just like burning me out, doing the wrong thing by me.
Yep.
But I think that if you're loyal in the right way,
so the fair exchange portion,
the fair exchange, yeah. But I think the loyalty aspect in the right way is never misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can be loyal to a fault, and it's like a dog. If a dog's loyal to you, that's like man's best friend for that reason.
Yeah.
So that would be mine.
Okay. If there was to be 2 and 3, if you had to pick 2 more,
I think the second one. I mean, I'm just trying to think back to my own journey, but I think like loyalty just stands out to me, and then I think it's just grit. It's just grit.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant about like being ruthless.
Grit your teeth.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
Do shit that scares you.
Be careful. Don't be a pussy.
Don't be a pussy. But do shit that scares you.
Yeah.
Because that's where life is lived. It's not in the safety zone.
For the masculine, at least.
Well, for anyone.
Yeah.
In that sense. But I think grit in a sense of like have the courage to like, and courage works into it, but have the courage to know when things are easy and make yourself uncomfortable if you really want to, move forward. I think it's grit, and I think it's knowing. It's a knowing when you're relaxing and you're sitting back.
Yeah.
And you're not doing everything you can.
Yep.
And I believe that that's something, like, I always wanted to, like, when I was living with my mum, like 28, I was living with mum. I had tried what felt like a million times to do business and get out of home. Like, I felt like the biggest failure. I had no money, I had a car and a laptop. At mum's place, I was living in a spare room, and I decided, like, I was defeated for a month. Like, it was genuine depression. I didn't want to be around anymore. I was done. And mum was hinting. She was like, "You've been here for a while now. Like, you're a fully formed man." Like, I was so embarrassed. And that's where you have choice, right?
Yep.
You can choose to be a dropkick.
Yep.
And you can choose to, like, when I say I was depressed, it was bad. Like, it was, I had attempted things that would make me not here. I had. And when I say attempted, I don't mean like things that, I had gone to do those things.
Yeah.
I had thought very carefully about them.
Ideation, suicide ideation.
It was in the act of.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I'm okay talking about that now because it's something that is not part of me now. That person never goes away, but it's not something that I think about as often. But at the time, you have choice in that moment. And I think for a lot of men, even listening to this, if they have that thought, you're not weird for thinking that. You're not different for thinking that.
Yep.
It's more common than you think. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's a pie in the sky, whatever. I'm just saying that.
So what got you out of it then? Because I've got an interest. I've always got this belief that you have to get to a point, such a dark, deep point of helpless. You've learned helplessness so much that you can't see the way out, and the only way out that people see is the opposite, like, is that dark path. So what was the thing that helped you then? Like, what was the turning point? What was the pivotal point? Because everyone says that, like, taking action or like breaking state and changing your environment and your perspective and making that decision, etc. Like, all these fluffy woo-woo words that people talk about. But, like, there has to be a thing that all masculine, or all men in terms of masculinity, because the next question will roll into this. Because the question actually says, from Amber, how do you cope with emotions and expressing them? What's your thought processes and patterns and the nothing space in your mind? So ultimately, what I read from that is, from a female's perspective, they process emotions completely different to us. They would seek help from therapists or completely different modalities to what potentially might be more beneficial for men to do. So when you had that dark moment in time, what was the thing that got you out?
I got a two-part answer to this because that's relevant. But the thing that got me out is it couldn't have got worse.
So you had to hit the bottom of the well.
I had to. Yeah. I had to be there because what led me there was that I didn't have control of my life. And I hadn't learned how to take control because everyone else had control over it. And so I had to learn how to have my own backbone and stand up for what I wanted and what I thought was right. And I couldn't do that through all my 20s. And so it took me to be at the bottom to learn how to get up, dust myself off again, and have another go. And that's what I did. And through the years, I'd learned a lot of skills, and I'd learned a lot of things that would, serve me in getting in the direction I wanted to go. But the thing that I was missing was just the grit I was talking about. To go, no, fuck you. This is what I believe, and I'm standing on my own 2 feet, and I'm defending now myself and for my own right. And that's when I was living with mum, I was like, all right, mate, well, you got 2 choices. You can sit here and be a dropkick, go in the spare room and, top yourself, or you can go and get a job. Yep. This is 3 choices. You go get a job and go live with the normies and do all that. And I'd rather be dead than do that. And so my third choice was, all right, well, have another go. Yeah, do this business thing again. Try again. And here we are. Now we're doing great. And it's like, I had to get to the worst part. I had to experience the darkness to be able to move forward. I don't believe that everyone needs to do that. Not everyone's wired like that. But I think men who are pretty in touch with themselves get to a point where they think very deeply and they get to a dark place.
Yeah, we're humans, like women are. In all, what I heard from that is action cured everything.
Action, but it was the mindset.
Yeah. There was the choice.
It was the choice.
The decision to change.
Yeah.
And action.
Yeah, it was like, I'll give you a perfect example. I could have sat in bed, scrolled on my phone, opened Pornhub 10 times a day, done all that bullshit.
Yep.
But I chose to open my laptop, subscribe to Lewis Mocker's Mastermind.
School of Mastery, link in the bio.
I told Lewis this on the yacht. I said, mate, you don't know that you saved my life. He doesn't know. I told him that. And I subscribed to his mastermind, and I got into a room, when I say a room, I mean a community of people who thought like I did.
Yep.
And that changed everything for me.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That was when the $80, I didn't have the $80.
Yeah.
I didn't have it.
Yeah.
It was all on fucking credit card.
Yep.
And so I had to make the money. I was like, my credit card bill was like 10 grand in debt.
Isn't that insane though? That's how, this is a one thing that I wish all men who apply understood exactly what you just fucking said then, was you didn't have the money. But that didn't stop you because it was a must for you.
Yeah.
If your life truly actually depended on it.
It did.
And that's my whole entire mantra that I live by, is that if you had absolute musts in your life, you would do them. And because we don't have absolute musts, then it becomes an option.
Yep.
And if it becomes an option, then you will always find other ways to
distract yourself,
justify why you don't have to do it. You look to find other things that are priority. And then every time I've had like a money objection or something, and someone says, I've got no money. It's like, the reasons why you can't are the reasons why you must.
Yeah.
The reasons why you can't are the reasons why you must. It's like, great, if you don't have any money, that ain't going to fucking change.
And that's a leap of faith,
you
right?
have to suspend your sense of disbelief for this period of time to take action, to allow the momentum to build, to start seeing results. But we're so hardwired with instant gratification on porn, Netflix, dating apps, Uber for food, where we don't even have to actually go out and hunt. We don't have to wait and stalk our prey. We can just have it on a silver platter. And I think that's the one threat that we have in society, that men need to realize that the thing that's actually killing them slowly is comfort and mediocrity. And the closer we can live on the edge of our physical capacity to kill and conquer, but to also financially, because there's no other village trying to take over your huts. There's no saber-toothed tiger jumping through our window. Our threat is money. Our threat is this livelihood or the lifestyle we want to provide for the family. So people need to understand, if you made an absolute must, that your children's life, your partner's life depended on you putting down your deposit or securing your spot, because you know you want to do it and that you must do it, and you have wanted to over that time, then fucking just do it. Because the worst thing that's going to happen, you would put that $80 on your credit card and it would have been $10,000 and $10,080.
That's it.
And then you would have had the same interest rate of 55 days to pay back, and you would have had to pay a bit more. But it's that leap of faith. And that's what I said before, of that first pillar or that first key trait was trust. You have to not trust in the person or trust in the thing, but trust in yourself. That you'll be fine either way. But when you don't have any other option, like you said, your life depends on it. You made a change.
And I think this is most true for the only ones who come and see you, the only ones who would be even interested in watching this, are the ones who want a better life for themselves. We're not talking about the dudes who are just dudes or anyone that is just okay to just float through and just have. The thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to preface with that. There's no. I hate people just like, you're a fucking pussy if you don't like want to be an absolute baller and an alpha and all this shit. I'm just like, fuck off. Some people just want to live just normal, happy lives. That's okay. We're specifically talking about someone with larger ambition, because it is crippling to have this mental state that is, I must always be better for myself. It's not comfortable, because the only way you get better is discomfort, and innately that's not a knee-jerk reaction.
No,
you want to wake up here and walk out and you're in paradise.
Well, look at Lewis. I love him. they're having an empty calendar and still running multiple 6 figures a month or whatever it may be, where he does not talk to anyone, wakes up, has a beautiful baby now, and then gets to hoist his own jet ski for himself and go on a ride and have breakfast alone, and then come back and have to do no work except create content. Like, that's the true definition of a true dream lifestyle.
And the only way he got there, the only way, mate, he bloke's a genius, but
Yeah,
the work,
yeah.
and he's so aligned with what he does.
How much though do you think childhood conditioning plays, and your environment in your upbringing plays a part though in your desire for growth and ambition and success? Because I remember every kid that at school, every show and tell, every conversation you have as a kid is like, I want to be a scientist, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a firefighter. We had no limitations on us as children.
Yeah.
They were placed upon us by who? Teachers.
Yeah.
And other friends or family, or mostly our parents, our family members are saying, oh, you should aim here. Don't get upset. Like, you shouldn't get upset.
Yeah.
Settle for what you can get. Go to uni. Do something safe.
Yeah.
It's like, is that the reason why everyone isn't so ambitious? Not because they don't want to and they want to live a comfortable life, but it's all that they know because of who they've grown up with.
I think you're born with it or you're not. That's what I believe. And I only say that because I think people would love to have this. Anyone would love to have this. But it's not about, and I heard this quote, I can't remember who said it, but everyone loves the destination. They're married to the destination, but they're not the journey to the hard work.
Yeah.
They don't want it. They don't give a.
They're allergic to hard work.
This is what it was. I think Alex Mosey said it, but it was through the lens of somebody else, I think. But everyone's jealous of the outcome. No one's jealous of the work because they don't see it. And they can't feel it and touch it and experience it for themselves unless they can do it.
Yep.
And I think that's important because I knew, whether having done it or not, that success, whatever you want to call that, which to me was having like enough money that I didn't have to stress over just most things, like just most living expenses, and I could afford a nice anything, whatever I want within reason. But like $50K a month now, to me is like covers, like, it's a dream life for me, right? Anyway, the example I was going to make, what was I saying? I lost it. I knew that path was going to be fucking hard. Yeah. And I was still willing to go blindly into it.
Yeah. Why though?
And to the
But
point,
why though?
To the point where I almost told myself.
But why though? Why did you have so much blind faith?
Blind faith.
Where does blind faith come from?
It's just in me. I just have it. I have this part of me that I operate best when my back's against the wall.
Yes.
In the most pain, I operate at my best. If you back me into a corner and I have no other option, that is when I'm at my best.
What happens when you're not in the corner though?
I will do nothing.
Do you want to go to Japan for 3 weeks? Yeah. Do you want to go to a TV show?
Do nothing. I'm the laziest person by nature.
We all are.
Yeah, but on a different level. Like on a level of just like if you allow me, I will do fucking nothing.
Well, the primitive part of us back in the day would have been lounging around in the shade until we had to go and hunt for food. That was it.
Well, I mean, we have very different inputs now, but
we do now.
Yeah,
there's
I know what you're saying. Yeah, that part of it. All right, so okay, we'll talk a lot about me, and I'm getting uncomfortable because I want to talk about you now. But
I kind of sit in it, feel it.
So okay, let's go to this question because
how do you cope with emotions, or express them, etc., and your thought processes and patterns, and the nothing space in your mind?
Okay, this is good because I want to ask you this because I think you and I are outliers to this. I think you and I are very good at processing emotions.
Yep.
I think we're very good at being intuitive with others' emotions, like empathetic. Yes. But also, I think that, like, I love this topic because I have no shame around how emotionally intelligent I am. Yeah. And how sensitive I am.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
I want you to answer this one because I love this topic.
How do I cope with emotions? I was never truly good with coping with emotions in a relationship setting. because all of my wounds would come out, and I would just want to fill the time and space with words. But what was conditioned in me through the military was being able to execute on what was in front of me in a blink of an eye.
Right.
How do I process it? I would have to go back to what I got taught in the army, was a commander's pause. That's what they called it. So when contact would ring out or shots would ring out, and you would have this thing called the basic drill, which means everyone in your platoon would then go in all-round defense, which means everyone hears contact left, contact front, contact rear, contact right, whatever.
Yep.
And then everyone would then adopt the prone position behind cover, and they'd start to then scan and look for likely enemy positions. And if they then needed to then Drake shoot, they would then start shooting at likely positions, right? Until they heard over the radio.
Just go shooting.
They would, if that was in their direction, that's what they could immediately return fire.
Wow.
So for me, the commander's pause was, if I went immediately, oh my God, frantic, I want to react, which most guys do when they hear something uncomfortable or they're having an argument with their partner. It's like, I need to just do something because it's like, oh, it's right in front of me and it's a threat.
Yeah.
However, they always said, get down, pull out your map, pull out your brew mug with a coffee, because you'd always have a thermos in your webbing, and then listen to the radio, take a breath, and just wait. And that couple of seconds of just was enough for me to go, all right, what's the situation?
Yeah.
Situation is this is what's happening. Okay, cool. That's a situation report from the guys. Now I've got to deliver orders. So although I don't like to militarize my life and relationships, it's very unconscious to still do that when I'm having a conversation with a woman and they've said something. Immediately I just want to go and bite their head off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hang on, I've learnt my lesson now too many times of broken hearted and breakups where I'm just like, okay, clearly I'm fucking this up.
Yeah.
Clearly I'm not doing
This doesn't work.
Clearly being an army man in a relationship in uniform just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It might in some instances,
Yeah.
but not in an emotional sense. So then I was like, okay, so what do I have to do differently? If there was a commander's pause in a relationship, it's like, you got to really actually truly be more interested in what they're saying rather than interesting. Just shut up and just listen.
Yeah.
And if you give them, and you can feel into, and I think the point I would want to suggest is, men need to learn how to be comfortable at holding the tension in silence in relationships or in conversations. Sales calls are a prime example. You've probably heard some of the conversations.
Heard one today, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so okay with not speaking.
Yeah.
Because it will make anyone feel so uncomfortable because they're stuck with their thought. They're stuck with what you've said. And as long as I believe you're the one that takes the lead in that area where you are okay with being the awkward one, I believe that allows people to actually vent and speak what they need to say. And most of the time, we jump the gun before we have all of the context.
Yeah.
So the pauses, I think, is super important.
Yep.
How do I actually process it, though? I believe in a lot of shadow work is required for a lot of stuff that men probably don't even know what shadow work is.
Yeah.
There's a shadow part of us where it's all of the elements of the parts you don't want to look at, and you want to just put it away in the box, never want to talk about it. Guys want to talk about it in your mates, in a circle, and you just try and change the topic because you don't want to talk about it. Or everyone looks away and doesn't want to maintain eye contact. You can tell when everyone's like, I want to poke at that.
Yeah.
Because you feel uncomfortable. Just before, you're just like, I feel uncomfortable now. I was like, I want to stay here with your question, not mine. But processing it, I think you need to take time. There was one relationship where I would always want to fix, as masculine men want to just fix shit. They want to fix problems all the time. I don't know if there's an answer for why we do that, but I think it's innately in us, all of us. We just want to fix shit.
Yeah.
There's a broken light, we'll fix it.
Yeah, let's make it right. Yeah.
You've got a problem. Oh, why don't you just do this at work? It's like, babe, I don't want you to fix my problem.
Yeah.
I just need you to shut up and listen.
Just listen.
Just listen.
Yeah.
So when I've then understood that I want to try and fix everything, but they don't want to be fixed. What they want is to feel safe. They want to feel heard. They want to feel understood. That for me is then understanding that what I'm now being triggered in this conversation, I was trying to immediately go and respond. but I'm like, hang on a minute, I need to actually process where this is actually coming up for me.
Yeah.
So I think it's the ability to look within that a lot of guys need to master and have the courage to actually look at it. Because when you actually look at it, as you've probably realized with relationships as well, I think majority of the time, most men realize that the relationship is the thing that underpins the success in their life and in their business. And if they just realize that their relationship is going to be a mirror reflection of what they had seen growing up with their parents, then they know that the work that they need to do is actually within themselves and not on the person.
Yeah.
So I think for me, processing that has been my way of coping with emotions, of understanding that it's never a trigger of like what it is that they have done. It's more so what they have then done to then bring up within me that I need to seek resolution on.
Yeah.
So it's like finger this way, 3 fingers pointing back to me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I can't be pointing all the time. I got to look back at myself.
Yeah.
And then I think the flow on of expressing them. Oh, how long do we have on this topic?
Yeah.
Expressing emotions, I believe, is so dramatically different for women and for men. And what we're trying to do and what they're trying to do, I believe, is trying to box men and women into the same category.
Yeah.
They're trying to treat us the same.
Yep.
We don't think and we don't believe and act the same.
We might have things that align, but
Yeah,
we're
big time.
genetically different.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I think expressing, a lot of men don't know how to express safely.
Yeah.
A lot of this whole idea and concept of there's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
There's just fuckwits.
Yeah. I agree.
Because a man who's toxic isn't in his masculine. The masculine is meant to protect. He's meant to provide. If a man is being toxic, narcissistic, abusive, that's not masculinity.
Yeah.
That's just fucking pure evil.
Yeah, it's just, you're just a fucking...
You're just an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
So expressing, though, I think for men, I believe, express the best when they're using their physiology, when they're using their words, when they're using their body to be able to move the emotion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys understand, or they should understand now, that when they feel emotion, most people actually just bottle it and they just hold it until they burst out in violence, abuse, drugs, alcohol, gambling to then vent.
And I think that comes down to a lot of your childhood conditioning, because the bottling part,
Yep.
it could be part of your personality trait, but the bottling part is you've only known one way, because you might have had some kind of upbringing that has fucked you up.
Well, yeah.
And you've only known to withhold.
Yep.
You haven't known how to express.
My dad was a prime example. He was when they separated when I was young. Every time that I'd see them on like the week on week off thing, he'd always be drunk. And I remember so vividly. I had what was it? I think it was a Samsung or a Sony Ericsson flip phone with the aerial with the keypad, like mobile phones. You know, the ones that you'd flip the screen up and. And I called mum and I'm like, Dad's drunk again. And she turned back with her car and I was putting my sister through the bathroom window to get out of the house because he was just out of control. He was just drunk. Yeah. And that was a frequent, it was just always drunk. So I had a real big thing against guys who would just get absolutely blind drunk, especially around children. However, do you remember those little jumpy little, when you're
Jolly Jumpers.
Jolly Jumpers.
I've fucking dominated.
Mate, I was backflipping on that thing
100%.
fucking when I was little.
I was top heavy because my head was massive.
Mate, I was a bobblehead in the car. Like my head's still this size when I was young, but not the body.
Same here.
Yeah. Dude, were you really?
100%. I had a moon head, mate.
With Johnny Barvo.
Yeah.
Wow. Duff man.
Not as cool, but
Yeah. And I remember, I think I was like, what? I remember I could draw the layout and the floor plan of my house when I was 1. And I remember I said to Mum, my first emotion of fear when I did timeline therapy and I did this process, I remember jumping up in this jolly jumper and I was seeing Mum curled up in a ball in the corner of the kitchen with my dad over the top of her. And that for me, in terms of like violence with men and women, I didn't know at the time that was fear. Like I was just seeing what I was seeing.
Yeah.
So I think the conditioning that we have of expression is really deep-seated from our childhood. Yeah. And I think our whole entire adult life is unlearning what we were taught to then relearn what we want to then pass
as an outcome.
As an outcome. And Aaron Sansoni said this, and his quote was, "You either pass down wounds or wisdom to your children, and it's your choice on what you pass down." And I thought to myself, okay, well then I don't have children yet.
Yep.
That's why I'm wanting to do the work as best as I can. And I know I still won't have all the work done, because only in relationships and then with children do you then have your greatest teacher by them mirroring back to you what you need what you need to do. I think this hyper independence that women are now experiencing with the rise of modern feminism and the men wanting to avoid relationships is because they think that they can do all of the work required to get to the fully healed portion, but the relationship has to be the thing that triggers you to get to that next level.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, we'll always want to do as much as we can because we feel like we're not fixed or healed yet, or there's still things that we need to get right. But it's not until you have the other person to interact to be able to show you the mirror. They're showing you up the whole time,
And it's the same in business. No,
oh my God,
yeah,
100%.
This is what I think. This is the definition of being. What's the word for when you don't feel like you're enough to do something?
You know what I'm
saying?
Yeah, you're not incapable, but
Yeah, it's like the incongruence of like you don't feel like you're enough yet to start.
oh, you're an imposter.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
That's the definition of imposter syndrome.
Yep.
In a sense that if you're wanting to do something for yourself, like make money online or whatever it is, and you stop yourself from action because you don't feel like you're good enough, you're skillful enough, whatever it is, but the actual doing, the action precedes the clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so being in the relationship precedes understanding what emotions, what things you need to look at in yourself. And one of the things, like I avoided relationships for a long time.
Yeah.
For a reason that is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sacrifice everything that I worked so hard to achieve.
And to build.
Yeah. I didn't want to just hand that to someone else that I didn't think was worthy of that.
Yeah.
And not hand it, like that's probably the wrong term.
Experience it with you.
I want to be very careful with and selective with that process. And so I shut myself off entirely to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I got back out and started to do relationships again, going back into it after it was a while, after going into it after a while, I was like, oh, all these things that I still haven't seen yet that I get to work on now.
Yeah.
That I'm like different insecurities come up, or like different emotions about things come up. And the one thing that I've worked on, I really have worked on, is expression. And I'm very good at it now. And I leave no stone unturned. And usually it's very uncomfortable for the other person because I leave nothing out. And I'm totally fine with that. And I think it's been a muscle that I've worked in business, where it's like I just believe in complete transparency.
Yeah.
Just talk about everything. Yeah. I used to be part of agency. Like I was a stakeholder in an agency once upon a time where things would get left out for the better of the company, I thought. But as I thought about it, I'm like, I would prefer to just share this stuff because it helps me sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with communication with someone. Why leave things out? Talk about how you actually feel in a scenario. And if you're like, I'm too scared to because I feel like the other person will see me, they'll leave me. Well, then that's the perfect way for that to happen.
Yeah, they weren't right for you. They weren't meant for
that particular dynamic isn't right for you.
Yeah.
And if you're too scared to see that, it's going to keep haunting you. And so, like, I have no issue with talking about stuff.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I will happily sit there, and even to my friends, like, you know this about me, I'll tell you something that is a potentially uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have that convo.
Yeah.
Because I just want you to be better for you.
Correct.
And it deepens our friendship.
Side note, because I want that. This next question is great, but that's the one thing I think's missing with men in society.
Yeah. Is
they don't have enough courage to call their boys out.
Call your boys out.
Like you've spoken about it with me and with Dave before, where we look at one another where just like there's the always, and there should always be the underlying current under the table that you feel is there, that like we could fucking kill each other.
Yeah.
Like, and I've been around men where I don't feel that. And I'm like,
you want to feel that?
I want to feel threatened.
Threatened
for sorry, I want to feel that they have the capability.
I want to feel capable around capable men.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's safe.
Yeah.
It's actually safer to be around capable men.
I trust it more.
Correct.
But I trust that you'll pull me up.
Correct.
if I'm out of line,
100%.
and I will always do that for you.
Yeah. If I saw you like go above 8% body fat, I'd say something.
Yeah, all right. I don't even know how to respond to that, but
Yeah, no, don't.
yeah,
But no, I think it's just why would you not want your best mates to make more money and succeed?
I am the first one to be like, can you please be better than me in every way so I can learn off you?
Yeah.
I want you to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to give you the answers. I want you to learn them and then teach me.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that looks like, I hope that for you. Like, I feel that to my core as well. I don't understand that whole, I mean, it's a different conversation, but like the jealousy part, I get inspired by that shit.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for my friends to be successful.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And a tide lifts all boats, right?
Yep.
Like I've
For
never
the right people though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but then others will want to sink you.
Like if you're so if they're the wrong person for you, right, and they become successful, usually you don't benefit from that as their friend if they're not the right person for you, because they're selfish. They want it for themselves, and I've experienced that before.
Yeah.
Get ahead of you.
Yeah.
They don't want to drag you up.
Yep.
Because the ego's taken over.
Yep.
And that's something like that's where the loyalty.
I've experienced that too. I've seen that happen before.
So many money just makes you more of who you are.
I was just about to say that. It just enhances who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to keep on?
Yeah. So next one with Amber was communication in an argument and learning to take constructive criticism and the love behind it.
I haven't had an argument in fucking. Mate, I couldn't even answer that. I don't have arguments. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take this one. I think being argumentative is then another probably way of normalizing or softening that is having different opinions, having conversations with different perspectives.
Yeah.
But I understand that what this question is coming from Amber is about men not being able to actually have a hard conversation with their partner,
right,
where they are not actually attempting to communicate.
Yeah.
They're just like shut down, suppression, talk down, and control the relationship, and not actually understanding that what they're actually wanting to do is give you feedback on where you need to improve.
Right.
So some guys probably get butt hurt, and this is actually what I've said to all of the women that have reached out that they want to come to the event, but all the partners of the men that come through the program as well. And I believe that men amongst men need to hold each other accountable, but by sure as shit, your partner should too. Your partner should hold you accountable. And when you're talking about we should be willing to speak honestly, and if they leave that they're the wrong one, women need to do the same thing.
100%.
And is there a way that women need to learn how to communicate to men about, like, if they've put on weight? You can't just say, hey, babe, you're getting a bit fat, because then he'll just turn around and feel that you've criticized him, and he'll just go, you're the one that eats dinner with me too, babe.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think for me, sidebar with women is I think all men and women need to be able to love people through their insecurities, to bring out the best in them, and to encourage them to change, but be in amongst the journey with them. Because if you feel supported in what you're trying to do from your woman, you feel invincible. If you feel like your partner loves you as a woman through your own insecurities that you have, where you see yourself differently than he sees you, then you're probably going to feel seen, and you're probably going to change.
And there's a caveat to this.
Yep.
I think it's a caveat, but we're about to find out. The only way you find someone who holds you accountable is to become that version of yourself that is the best version. The one that you have that self-respect, you have that self-love, you have those things in place for yourself. Usually you will attract the wrong type of person into your life if you haven't healed the parts that are the most outstanding, that are causing you friction in relationships. So you generally attract where you're at, right?
Well, you get what you need,
and you're not going to have a quality person in your life, man or woman, whatever dynamic you're in.
You're
not going to have that person in your life unless unless you've both done the work on yourselves to be able to come
Or
together.
doing the work.
Or doing the work,
Yeah,
and you
on
have
the journey.
high communication part.
Yep.
You're not gonna trust someone to grab. I want a woman to grab me by the face and go, "Hey, I would have really loved seeing this.
Yeah.
at this moment."
Yep.
And I'd be so attentive, because what that says to me is, it says there's something that I can help you with.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen.
Yep.
That is missing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, tell me everything.
However, the unfortunate reality with that is when women, with all the right intentions, want to do that, they don't actually articulate it in a way that comes across that they're not criticizing their man.
Yeah, correct.
It comes across like they are trying to control the man, they're judging the man, and the man's like, well, fuck, I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
Fuck this, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'll go find someone else who's less combative, or someone that will just sit down, shut up, and do as they're told.
Delivery and timing is everything.
Correct.
Delivery and timing.
100%.
That's all it is.
Avoid text messaging. Avoid text messaging.
Yeah.
Fucking have an in-person conversation or a FaceTime so you can see the expressions, you can hear the tonality. It's the way we communicate.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the communication piece in an argument is, I said this, I don't know if I said it to my guys in the mastermind call yesterday. And I said, you need to go into the conversation with your woman metaphorically by having your hands tied behind your back and giving her a dagger.
Let me just sit with that for a sec. Say that again.
You need to go into the conversation openly with your woman with your hands tied behind your back whilst you've given her the dagger.
Metaphorically. Okay.
Because...
I'll sit with that for a sec, because I actually haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Because in the end, if you're going to go in and not give her the opportunity to fucking give it...
Would you both have daggers?
No.
Why?
Because that's not for you to do.
So it's in the context of her bringing something to you.
Or vice versa. Because men are fearful that if they then open up and express what they're truly thinking or feeling, that it will be used against them as ammunition later on, which can be true.
Can be, yeah.
Because they've put it in a little lockbox and they say, remember when you said this? And they use it, right? But most people can do that. But what I'm saying is that if you need to come to them with something, or they need to come to you with something, you need to shut up and you need to
Hold space.
hold space. But holding space means you're not responding.
Yeah.
You're just listening.
Yeah.
Which means your hands are tied behind your back. You can't touch them. You can't do anything, metaphorically. You can't do anything. Here's a sword. Go for gold. Here's a dagger. If you need to vent and you need to express, then do so. And the whole idea about this whole constructive criticism portion of the question and the love behind it, I've had previous experiences recently with a beautiful woman, and the space that she has then transitioned from has found her relationship with Jesus, and she's on the path with him now. And her decision for what she's wanting to do is to be celibate until marriage. Was the one thing she said that she appreciates from the work that we do and for what we've had conversations with, is she had the space to she felt that she had the space to feel her emotions in its entirety, in complete fullness. Yeah. And I think the one thing that women truly actually want is a container, and where they can just be wild and free like the hurricane that they truly are, which is the beauty of the feminine.
Yeah.
We try and go, ooh, no. Simmer down. Like, no, too much. The reason why I believe it's too much for a lot of men is because they don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I think this whole idea of metaphorically being like, all right, bring me whatever you need. What's on your mind? How are you feeling? What's going on? Without even trying to fix their problem and just listen. By the end of that conversation, they may have stabbed you a few times, but guess what? You're wearing armor, aren't you? Because you're impenetrable. As the oak tree roots are so deep, and the wind that they're trying to knock you down, fucking good luck.
Yeah.
But I believe, and this is the thing that I'm needing to still work on, and I don't think anyone ever gets to that point, or maybe they do, is your 100% devotion to that person, where no matter what they do and say, you're not leaving.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the connection to blind faith and trust in God and trust in the universe or whatever, that 100% devotion is the thing that I think that's missing in family units, because it's so easy to then jump ship. It's so easy just to find something else. Find something that's less difficult and more ease of your lifestyle, but deep down, the empty hole that you experience is the fact that it's fleeting. And I think, I don't know if there's any truth to the fact that those that are a lot more religious in faith are the ones that are more in healthy relationships. I don't know if that's true. There might be a statistic. Someone comment and actually tell us if there's a stat between that. But I think the constructive criticism, a lot of guys are just butthurt because people in their life, they rarely have people who are fucking truthful.
Yep.
That is the one thing I really appreciate with our with our sales process, with what I do, is that the call that we have, I am brutal. I'm ruthless. Because in the end, when they give you so much context to what's actually going on, they have never had a friend. They've never had a parent. They've never had someone that actually goes, that's fucked up. Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to lose your relationship. Your daughter is going to bring home a man like you because you're the example, or more importantly, the cautionary tale. Or the guy is going to look at you as what he can be.
Yeah.
And if they're happy with that, sweet, get off the phone.
Yeah.
But if you're not, fucking do something.
Listen to me.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable. And that's the last call I had today. He said this is the most uncomfortable call he's ever had. And I truly believe that means that he wasn't actually qualified to come and spend 5 days with me because he couldn't even handle an hour and a half. So I think it was not out of criticism for me with him or anyone that I talked to. It's out of pure love.
Yeah.
And I think every successful man never builds anything that's not connected to some form of trauma because they had to have built something from lack or from a place of moving away from pain, living at home, wanting to go a different direction. You had no other option except to find a way to make it work. You made it work. You've got now a great lifestyle. And then what's the next objective? What's the next mission? What's the next thing to then achieve? It's like, well, I'm now further enough away from my challenges and trauma and issues from my childhood and my journey in Newcastle. And now I'm here on the Sunshine Coast. I'm like, well, what's going to drive me forward now? Yeah. The events were doing well. We got to a really good point, and now I'm like, well, what's next? What's the next test? Because I think we should always be testing. Maybe not looking at ourselves that we're never enough or that we need to continuously grow because we're lacking something. But I think it's just keeping your finger on the pulse and having something to keep you like alert and aware. I think
all right, let's go to the next question.
The uncomfortability is okay.
I don't want to cut you off.
Simmer down.
We could just go layers and layers and layers. All right, so as part of like the next question, talked a bit about authenticity, and one of the things I really struggle with, from Ashley, as a younger man, was around ego.
Yeah, okay.
And I went through a big journey of like getting rid of that because it ruled my life to the point where it destroyed relationships. It stopped me from learning things. It stopped me from experiences. And it was just the absolute like destructor of all good things. And this year, probably more so than any year, has been the most I've sunk into who I truly am and accepting who I truly am. And a lot of those things I didn't want to look at because naturally who I am, I'm a sensitive bloke. I'm emotional. I'm all the things I never wanted to accept because I thought they were weakness.
Yes.
And I know that this is a bit of a theme for a lot of men.
Yeah.
Because to their core, I think a lot of men are like this, and they don't like it because they feel the same way I did, where they thought that their sensitivity, their emotional state, their way they felt things, the way they felt in certain scenarios, was weakness. And I thought that for a long time. So the ego aspect of me came to the front.
Well, our parents taught us that.
Well, the ego aspect of this came to the front to protect me.
Yep.
But what it was actually doing, it was making me inauthentic and leading me down paths that I didn't belong. And this is what I want to talk about this because it's been the most transformative thing and it's bridged the most connection with the most people who are right for me.
Yeah.
in every way, shape, or form, because there was a big theme of isolation for me, because I felt like no one belonged in my world purely because I thought that I was different to everyone else.
Yeah, the black sheep.
I thought I was the black sheep.
Yep.
But I'm not. There are so many people like me, but no one really talks about it. Social media is one of the aspects, not all of it, one of the aspects that I think is pretty fucked up for this kind of thing, because the Andrew Tates of the world, the real loud voices, like there's no room for weakness in a sense. It's just hustle. It's, it's this inflated energy around masculinity that I think leads men down a really dark path sometimes.
Is that because we are perceiving being sensitive and showing emotion as weakness and not?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not, though.
It was true for me.
Yeah.
But that was actually my strength.
Well, I always say lead with vulnerability.
Lead with vulnerability, but that can be a dangerous thing.
For who?
If you overshare,
For who, though?
for yourself.
Yeah.
If you overshare with the wrong people,
Yep.
you leave yourself vulnerable in the wrong way.
You can.
And you can get really fucked up by that.
You can.
And I learned that, like, I was oversharing with the wrong type of person because I thought the people who were strong, who weren't actually, they were weak. The people who were strong, who showed as the strong figures, were the ones with the ego. And I shared my vulnerability with the wrong type of person.
But wasn't it the right type of person because then when you shared it, they left your life?
No. Right. They were the wrong person.
Right.
I get what you're saying. I get the analogy to that.
Yeah.
But that okay, maybe I had to learn the lesson.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
I get it.
Yeah.
But that was the wrong person. I had to learn that lesson, of course. I had to go on the path. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But had I have been able to work that out in a way that was healthier, I think I would have been, like, it caused damage. A lot of damage.
Okay.
So I've done counseling. I've done
Yeah.
all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Done all the self-help stuff. But the most profound aspect of what I've learned to this point about being a man, being a capable man, someone who wants more for themselves, someone who wants to be a provider of some form, is to be as much of yourself as you humanly possibly can and to feel into that person.
Amen.
Entirely. Submit to who you are. Surrender to
who you are. Yeah.
And that can look like so many different things, but I think the thing that it looks like the most is usually the stuff that you need to look at about yourself is in the darkest corners. And if you have the courage to go there, the most beautiful things come from it.
Yep.
And also it shows you things that you might not expect. Because I found that once I was very comfortable financially, as an example, I was like, now what?
Yeah.
And I got lost.
Yep.
I got lost. I was like, had all this money coming in and I was so comfortable to the point where it's like there was no challenge left. And I was like, why am I unhappy? I didn't understand. I didn't get it. And it took me to realize that I had nothing, no purpose to challenge me. It didn't matter what that looked like. It was like, there was nothing that was like, there's friction against me for me to actually go into battle with.
Yeah.
The battle was me getting out of...
Well, you won that battle.
I won the battle. It was the hardest thing I ever did, but I won the battle. And it's led me to that point where I'm like, the comfort is the killer, but it's now the authenticity piece is teaching me, like, who I am is teaching me now that I have the comfort aspect, the like things are pretty good. Now I get to like work out like who am I and then what fits into that world with me the most. And I don't know really what it is, but I do know that like it's hard to work out. But I think for any man watching this who's kind of like, they feel like they might be lost with purpose, or they might be a more sensitive bloke or a more emotional guy, whatever that looks like for them. It's really leaning into this, really leaning into that.
Do you believe that you don't know, though, who you are?
No,
now?
I think I've got I'm getting a grasp of it. I don't think you truly learn absolutely everything about yourself, but I think you
But doesn't that make who you are, though?
it does. Yeah, it does. Because I think people can change.
So is the problem more so not that men don't know who they are, but they just haven't decided on who they want to be? What morals, what values, what boundaries, non-negotiables, who they want, what they want to not be remembered by. But one of the guys is a good example. One of the guys had that question today, and I said to him, if the past doesn't exist anymore and the future doesn't exist, because when it actually arrives, it's now the present. And the only thing that you have complete control over is how you respond in this very second. And there's infinite possibilities of what is happening right here, right now, that could change with whatever thought, whatever feeling, whatever action you take right here, right now. Then wouldn't then be the simplest form of having an identity crisis or having this conundrum of like, I don't know who I am, then just deciding in this moment of who you want to be right here, right now.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Because then if we're focusing so much on the past or the future, that's where fear exists. There is literally nothing right here in this moment that we could fear, because we're present. We're fully here. And if we're fully here and we're like, I don't know who I am or who I want to be, well, who would be the highest version of Curtis and Ben in this moment here? Because this is the only thing that exists. Well, I'd be an attentive, very open-minded, and a person who's going to listen and take time to process what you're saying to give you a very respectful, well-thought-out answer.
Yeah.
Which is what I want to then be known for with this relationship, and also for anyone that listens, because that's what I want to stand for. That's the only part of my identity that I get to choose to create right now, because I think there's an infinite amount of decisions in the present moment that then over time, based on then evidence, that creates who you are. Biggest person that deals with this is us, veterans. Identity crisis is huge.
Yeah.
Because
Identity is the veteran.
My identity was jump, how high, sir?
Yeah.
Storm that, okay, great, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Take your men, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
When do I need to get it done by? This time, back briefing on what you're going to then do with your plan. Sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
No questions. As soon as you take the uniform off, you literally have the disconnection of no purpose, because your purpose was to do your job.
Yeah.
And without it, it's like, well, I would sit and I would go, well, what do I do now? My pay in the army was always put in your bank account. They would allot all of your bills before you saw your cash. So everything was paid for, and you'd see a little bit of cash for you to go and just splurge on the weekend. And that was your life. You didn't have to worry about anything. You turned up to work, you did the right thing, you'd get paid, you'd have a job for the rest of your life. So there's no sense of free thought. There's no space for it. There's no room for it. You didn't have time for it. And it wasn't your job. Your job was just to do as you're told. So I think the identity, which is what I had to battle through, was literally going, okay, well, who is the man out of the uniform? Because he stands for all of these things that were the army ethos and the values of the organization that he then lived in for his entire adult life leaving school. And now it's like, well, then I need to build my own army, and I need to have my own set of values, and what's now my mission, what's now my purpose. And it's very still tied into the military experience, because I think every entrepreneur or every person who wants to coach or consult or run a business should do it from career capital. Hermosi talks about, this is a full segue, but he talks about, imposter syndrome only exists when you're actually doing things outside of your scope of what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you feel like an imposter, maybe you are.
Yeah.
And maybe you haven't actually done what it is that you're actually doing. I'm like, that's actually true.
Yeah.
I've never felt incongruent or out of alignment to whatever I've talked about or spoken or taught, because I've lived it and I've done it. And now I'm like, I just want to share that. But back to your point about the whole identity part, that was just my question of like, well, nothing exists except out of here, right now. And I'm like, oh, well, where's the shift in us then getting to choose who we are?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think everyone's journey is very personal to that.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
like my story is going to be so different to somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the overarching thing is it's okay to feel a little bit lost. You don't have to have all the answers.
What do they say? Lost and you shall be found.
And yeah, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, because I think this is something that I really despise about the personal development world, or whatever you want to call it, where I was making content on social media too. Yeah, I was trying to get followers and eyes because I wanted to build a personal brand. So I thought I had some things to talk about that were valuable to other people and some experiences.
Which they are.
I agree. And I think I've lost a bit of fire for it because I think there's a lot of voices. I lost a bit of fire for it because I'm just another noise in the pack. So I care a lot less about what people think about what I have to say now, purely because I'm just like, I don't give I'm just enjoying just talking about things that I've had experience with. So I think the whole scenario about personal development that kind of bothers me a little bit is it's always about looking forward, and it's never about just slowing the fuck down for a second so you can actually have some foresight.
Yep.
And it's always about what you're gonna do tomorrow to be the most amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there needs to be just to take a breath for a second, because I think life is for living, right?
Yep.
It's not always for progression.
Yeah.
And I think some people are genuinely just wired like that. Like, I think your Alex Hormozis of the world, he is wired like that. Like, that is just his personality. I'm not like that. I'm not a dude who cares to grind and hustle every second of the day. I don't care enough to do that, which is the authenticity piece I was talking about before, about, like being who I am. Like, I'm being okay with knowing that I don't have an alarm clock and I don't wake up at fucking sunrise. Nowhere near it, actually. Like, these kinds of things.
What if you had, though, 1 million people watching every YouTube video of you providing value and input or insight into your journey through business and life?
Yep.
That then they were all young men that were then going, when are you uploading your next video? Because you're changing my life, and you're the beacon of fucking faith and hope that I hadn't had growing up, and I need to know what I need help with this problem.
Yeah.
Would you feel that would deepen your obligation to actually show up more?
It would deepen my obligation to show up, yes.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't change who I am.
No.
Because you can't sustain somebody else.
Correct.
You can only be who you are,
yeah,
and sustain that.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned. Like, I can't sustain being a figure that talks anything differently to
your life,
how I feel and how I think, and those kinds of things. And so, like, it would deepen my obligation. Yes.
Yeah.
I would absolutely, like, if I had purpose in that sense, or I had that kind of reputation, absolutely. But I think you got to earn that, and that's something that's like,
you don't think you've earned it?
Mate, if I had 1 million followers tomorrow, what have I done to earn that? I'll post a video for a week on YouTube for like 2 months, bro. Like, fuck. Like, I haven't earned.
Yeah, but we haven't shined light and consistent sort of preaching and conversations on your journey from the darkest pits of hell. That's, as Johnny Depp says, the deserve for betrayers and mutineers, right? Yeah. That was a full Dead Man Chest reference from Parkway Drive. Just saying.
Love that.
But yeah, no, I just think you hit the nail on the head there, though, where you don't think that your journey is of any value.
No, I didn't say that.
Sorry. My interpretation was,
I haven't earned it to do the
but why
reps.
not?
No,
the reps. Oh, right. Sorry.
A video a day.
I thought you meant what you've gone through has no merit. I'm right. You know how many young men probably are in the pit that you were in your bedroom at your mum's, that if you were just there, they would be like, oh, you'd be the Lewis Mocker, for them.
And this is the thing. I'm not discounting that.
Okay, I completely miss. That's
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, because I'm like, I think my journey is something I want to share, which is what I'm doing with this.
Yes.
But I think it's, and I mentored a young man.
Yep.
I mentored a young man, and I got him. He was in a very similar scenario to me, and now he's got his own agency, and and you know who he is.
Oh yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
Yep. And like, he is my he was the purpose of, like, I got him to, he was earning nothing, with living with his parents, unhappy and all these kind of things, broken relationship, and now he's got his own agencies, crushing it.
That's sick.
And like I took him from that position because I saw a lot of myself in him.
Yep.
And I helped him through, and it's like, none of that's been documented or anything like that. It's been behind closed doors.
Yeah,
I did do content on Instagram every day for a year. I worked with Tom Noski, which we both, he's mentored us both. And Tom, fucking legend. And like, I did all that stuff. But like, what I was referring to is, I haven't earned it in a sense of like, I believe if you have $1 million something of anything, you've done years worth of that work to earn that.
Yep.
Years.
Yep.
People don't see the years. They don't see the
and a young person that's listening, that's starting out, that's in their first 10K months, 20K, even when I was hitting 100K months, I still didn't think I knew anything. I still don't.
No.
And I'm like, there is levels to the game.
That tracks too. That is one of the constants of everyone in business, no matter how successful.
Yeah, you don't know shit.
You still think you know nothing.
Yep. Yeah, and the most disheartening thing for young entrepreneurial men to see is exactly what you just said then is, hey, I will get you to here in this time frame if you just follow this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but what about this whole entire 10 years you had as track record being an employee at that digital agency? What about when you had an e-commerce business and then you did drop shipping and then you did this and then you had digital products and then you did this and then there is so much of people's experience that contributes to the speed of what someone goes in a new niche, new industry, new model, new product, whatever, that people just don't want to look at.
They completely.
What's the goal? And I think it's the gold shiny object syndrome that people look and go, what's the next best thing?
Yeah.
I've got caught in that, man, with seeing all these guys talk about, well, you're a big advocate for it too. It's just like, what was it? One of my clients messaged you and said, "Oh, hey, can we jump on the call and have a chat?" And it was about marketing.
Yeah.
And then you go, "I don't take calls."
Yeah.
It's true though. It's true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I started to look at going, I actually want to try and build a business where I can run all of my events and do everything that I do without having a conversation with someone. Someone slides in the DMs, they get a link, they pay me, and then they turn up. It's like, I was looking then for other mentors and other ideas, and I was getting so distracted from other people's models.
Yeah.
Dan Bolton talks about it, every model works. Everything works. And I'm like, well, my model works too.
Yeah.
But it's that, I think it's the noise that you're talking about, because everyone's doing something.
Yeah.
And I think as a young man, you need to find what you're good at and double the fuck down.
Yeah.
Until you then in a position where you have the capital to then bring other people in to do the things you suck at.
Yeah.
But until then, you've got to do everything.
Yeah.
And because you've got to do everything, you have to have so tunnel vision and laser focused on what is, I may say, one marketing channel with one message to one niche with one offer for at least a year to hit $1 million.
It's true, yeah.
That's so true.
It's just basic. Yeah.
It's
just basic. Yeah, like if you're talking about like starting and getting momentum and these kinds of things, one of the best things I heard was you just got to eat some shit sandwiches.
Oh yeah,
and you eat them every day for a long time.
Yeah,
and like I think people wildly underestimate the volume that needs to be done to be able to get results.
Yeah,
especially in the early times.
100 times
to push the snowball.
100
You're
times.
pushing that shit on flat ground.
Oh yeah,
uphill.
Oh yeah,
and until there's a little bit of a decline, then all of a sudden it hits a wall.
There's your grit.
That's the grit, and it's choosing to keep going.
And Hormozi said only recently that there is a massive correlation between the physical fitness and the physical capability of a man and his success in business.
Yeah.
I believe that to be true wholeheartedly. Yes, there are men out there that are later in their years that aren't as physically fit and capable than what they would have been in their early 20s, late 30s. But I think if you are a man who's young, fit and fighting age male, which is the demographic of those that are truly under threat right now, I think you need to really reevaluate how you show up physically. I'm a big advocate for it, but I'm also the biggest culprit for how much I'm liking food, especially around you. 3 dinners later. Because I think if you're going to live on the edge, you still need to have the capacity to go above and beyond what you physically are capable of at times, and to push that envelope and to truly see what you're capable of. Because the reminder that you get when you are physically exhausted and you keep going, just like when people read David Goggins and they're so inspired by it, or Ned running 10 days, 146 Ks or something to break the record.
Yeah.
People are going to go, that's insurmountable, that's impossible.
Yeah.
But it becomes possible when people actually do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like when, was it Robert Bannister, when he ran the first 4-minute mile?
Yeah.
It's like straight away, as soon as everyone thought it was impossible, then someone else, that like heaps of people did it afterwards. And now, how fast do people run? That's insane. And I can't remember the book, but there was, with all the Olympians, they're continuing to break records. And it's like, where do we actually truly know the end point of human capability?
Yeah.
I don't think we're nowhere near it. I don't think. Like, there's so much we don't know about the mind and the body.
100%.
But when it comes to men, I think you should take a real hard look at yourself and look at how you're showing up in that area.
Yeah, 100%.
Because
Self-respect.
And I look, this is probably, I wouldn't say shallow, but I was in a mastermind with, it was a co-ed, mixed co-ed mastermind. Because my mastermind is only men.
Yep.
Right. And this mixed co-ed mastermind was business related, and it obviously has a lot of connections with life, relationships, wealth, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to stay for a few reasons and re-sign, but one of the big reasons is I only had 3 guys in that 100+ mastermind that I respected, and I just couldn't sit there and be amongst men that didn't have the same or similar values to me.
Yeah.
I just really, and the crazy thing is, this sounds weird, but the men that actually I respected were those that they were killers.
Yeah.
Like absolute weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was amongst when we would sit at the table and you'd have lock eyes and you'd have that eye contact where you're just like, oh yeah, we're on. Yeah. Like, you could kill me if I pissed you off.
Yeah.
And they've all had dark pasts too. And I think that humility piece that we've spoken about, but of knowing how dark you've been and how dark you can be, the one element that men are so fearful of is that whole combative part of them that they've never exercised in a healthy way, that they truly don't know what they're capable of physically. And to be able to exert violence in a controlled manner, like we're talking about with jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts, I think there's something healthy to say about all men should do it, or try it at least, and see how you go.
Yeah, I think
that's why I loved the fact that my whole entire adult career was just driving armored vehicles and just bombs and guns.
Yeah.
It was like I was living the US dream lifestyle, but in the Australian Army.
Yeah. I think
health and fitness. So that's a must with business.
Health and fitness is a must. And I tell you what I love about this conversation is this speaks to yours and mine differences in a lot of ways, our mindsets in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because we do think differently about these sorts of things. Like my lens is entirely different to yours in how I see groups and people.
It is.
And like, that's where I get things from you that I otherwise wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And you get things where you otherwise wouldn't know. It's that whole thing. From Tony. Timu fucking lighters. Bro, you're going to burn your house down with that thing. And it's not even your house.
$350
Nice.
for this thing.
Yeah. More
for the whole set. Stupid.
Anyway. We've spoken about a lot, so I think we could probably call it.
Yeah. I think
anything else you want to do? I think it was we just wanted to touch on.
Yeah. I think for me, it's find your tribe of men where you share similar values in life, but with also different outlooks and opinions, where you can have healthy conversations to test and challenge one another in a healthy way.
Yep.
Be open for constructive criticism and understand that it's coming from a place of love. Understand that you need to be able to learn how to hold space for your women by understanding how to process your own emotions when things come up that are triggered within you from them, and to realize that it's something that you need to work on and not necessarily what they need to work on for them not to be the problem. It's within you as your shadow. I think you then need to be able to have a sense of grit and a sense of purpose and direction in everything that you aspire to do. If you're wanting to be a man that's wanting to strive for more and achieve more, I think you need to look at the whole portion of loyalty, honor, self-trust, and integrity. And then moving forwards, live as close to the edge as you possibly can in everything that you pursue moving forwards in life and business and in physical fitness, but to also take that commander's pause in your process, in your ability to process emotions, and also to fucking actually enjoy the fruits of your labor of what you are working so hard for. The grind and the pursuit of actually trying to achieve more all the time is draining and is taxing on you spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And if you're not going to sit down with your mate and just do random side quests of like just doing a podcast episode, then what's the point of making the money? What's the point of actually doing anything worth hustling and grinding and sacrificing for if you're not actually going to experience it? So slow down to speed up, take the pauses that you need to when you need to, and have enough self-respect for you to take that break and to take that time. Because when you are so in the trenches, if I was to give you an analogy, military analogy, if you're in the trenches and you're constantly fighting and you're always reloading ammunition, you're not sleeping, you're not resting, you're not eating, you're not hydrating, but more importantly, you as the commander are not actually stepping away from the front line to look at the map, listen to the radio, and understand what's going on around you on the battle space, then you're actually going to lose sight on what it is you're fighting, who you're fighting against, or what you're fighting for. And more importantly, you might be fighting the wrong fight. You might be fighting in the wrong direction. There might be something else that needs your attention, aka the fact that you're not present with your partner at home, the fact that you're not actually taking care of your health and fitness, and you're just focusing wholly and solely on your business. That's the downfall, is not to understand that the holy trinity of your health and your fitness, your relationship and your business are all in one. And the thing that underpins everything is your ability to lead. If you understand that everything is a leader-led problem in your life, your business and your relationship, then all of your problems that you have, you've created, but you're also in total control of it, so you can change it. And that's what I'd leave that on. Peace out.